You lost my signal. So. Okay, we're running a little bit behind on time, and I don't want to take too much time to the other speakers. So there's a backstory to all this, but I just checked, and a year ago tomorrow I was on Bob's show telling the backstory to this. So it's in his archives. Search for my name if you're interested in that.
Oh, give us a brief synopsis. No,
Well, I'm going to come forward to the chase. A year and a half ago, I decided to patronize only vegan restaurants wherever I went that had vegan restaurants. And I live in San Diego, and we were fortunate enough to have quite a few restaurants. There's about a dozen businesses that have maybe 20, about 20 different outlets now. But a year and a half ago, when I decided to do it, it was just for me. It was just some personal reasons. I said, I'm only going to patronize vegan restaurants. And there was sometimes an issue. HappyCow.net, are you familiar with HappyCow.net? It's a global guide to vegan restaurants everywhere. So that was my source, and then they'd have links to the websites of the companies or the eateries. And a lot of times the hours didn't match. So I was like, okay, if I drive over there, is it going to be open? I checked their Facebook page, their websites, and the hours didn't always match. So that was one issue. And then another issue is in a short period of time, 2 of them went out of business. In fact, one I was going to go to that day, and I looked on the website just to check the hours, and I said, out of business. So I started to panic about my dwindling eatery options, and I came up with the idea of forming a calendar of all the vegan restaurants in San Diego. And I called it Vegan Diego. I mean, Bob sounds like an organization. It's basically just me. It's just part of my vegan outreach. And here's what the current iteration of it looks like. I decided one page has all the restaurants. I could still list them on one page, and the days of the week and all the times on there. I know it's a little blurry on there, but this is it. And so besides for my personal enjoyment of eating in just vegan restaurants and not having to do the 3rd degree, is there butter in that, milk in that. I'm supporting vegan entrepreneurs, and they deserve our support. So there's a calendar on the first page, and then the second page, I had to separate all the information, like where they're located, their website, any special information, like do they have like a frequent eaters club or something like that. And then on the third page, I expanded to cover the non-storefront vegan businesses in San Diego, the caterers, those who do food delivery, cooking and nutrition classes. I mean, here's a case in point, Hummingbird Huddle. Brand new, I just put them on last month, and something happened and they're already not going to be there anymore. So that's sort of the nature. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back in this world. In addition, I had to kind of sell the idea, even to my vegan friends, because they have their favorite restaurants. Like, we're going to get a Cafe Gratitude down there, and we're like all excited. And I went on the website and found out that they have honey like in 9 items. So I got in touch with the owner, and he says, well, vegan's kind of a cult. We're going to change our website to plant-based because we're not really vegan. And he did that. And he said honeybees can be raised with compassion. And I countered back with all the things that are wrong with honey, like the dairy cows of the insect world, et cetera, et cetera. And I found out the reason later. They had another post on their website that they bought a farm. They're going to do the small farm stuff. They've got chickens on the farm. They've got honeybees. They're raising grass to feed cows. So I don't know, maybe Cafe Gratitude, unfortunately, is going to start having egg and dairy. I don't know. It's very disappointing to us, and we're looking forward to it. So part of the selling, too, is selling to why would a vegan who has a favorite restaurant, we have some great vegetarian restaurants that are almost vegan, and we have great restaurants with a lot of vegan options. So I had to sell the idea is why would you want to patronize only vegan eateries? Number one, I already mentioned, no worries or questions about food and animal ingredients. When you order something vegan in a mainstream restaurant, like pasta with marinara sauce, and they come out with Parmesan cheese sprinkled on, even though you told them, this is what vegan is. Does that happen to anybody where you get some, like maybe little chunks of cheese in your salad or something, and and I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to send it back. So. No mix-ups of vegan and inadvertently served animal foods. A lot of restaurants, my wife kind of took me into this, we did Thai-type restaurants, and I didn't know there was fish and oyster sauce in some of their veggie dishes. You assume they were vegan. Mexican restaurants, they put lard a lot of times in the chips. They boil them with lard grease or in the beans. Indian restaurants have ghee in a lot of their things. And so there's all these animal foods. I think Bob, you took my notes. Where's Bob? Did you got it? Okay, I'll just... Yeah, I think your notes, they were at the bottom page of the stack of papers you had. I think there's one more. Some other hidden animal ingredient we wouldn't really... Oh yeah, my wife went to a buffet one time and they had all these vegetables in the tray, and she asked, they use chicken stock to flavor all the vegetables. So there's all these things you didn't know about. If you're eating in a 100% vegan restaurant, no worries. Next one, no cross-contamination of utensils and cooking surfaces. Thanks. Okay. Even if you go to a restaurant that's separate, well, we have a separate grill for this and that, which is good. The grease that comes off of animal foods just permeates the air, so you know it's going to be on your food no matter how much they try to separate. One of the biggest pleasures I had when we converted to vegan household about 18 years ago, I no longer had to clean the grease off the mini blinds in our kitchen. All that grease, it just comes and coats everything. A big one for me is no one will be hurting eating animals in your presence. Think about it. I don't know any vegan that would go to a cock, dog, or bullfight, right? Where people entertain themselves by watching animals. So why would you go to a restaurant where people entertain themselves by eating animals? There's this cognitive dissonance, and I have a lot of it with my family. My family is not one of these progressive types. In 18 years of preaching, very few have even considered going vegetarian or vegan. And so they're kind, compassionate people in every other way except when it comes to food animals. And it tears me up, because in my mind I'm thinking, you guys are animal abusers. You abuse animals when you eat them. Even if somebody else kills them, even if you don't see it, you're the responsible party. You're paying someone to kill them. So it's really hard to disconnect cognitive dissonances where you have two opposing thoughts in your mind, and you go crazy trying to balance those. And the big one, vegan owners need your help to stay in business. So when I was in Bangkok a few years ago, I sought out, on happycow.net, I set up this tiny little vegan restaurant, and I got to be a little bit familiar with the owner. Herwin was his name. Anybody been to Bangkok and know Herwin Walravens? I think he's Dutch. But he wrote me about the vegan Diego idea and everything, and I want to quote him here. He says, $1 spent at a non-vegan restaurant is $1 not spent at a vegan restaurant. Eating at a non-vegan restaurant means an empty seat at a vegan restaurant, and empty seats eventually means a vegan restaurant has to close. And unfortunately, his did close. So it's important for all of us that, people say, well, what about getting vegan options into mainstream restaurants? Isn't that a good thing? I said, yeah, the more the better. In fact, when I moved to downtown San Diego about 9 years ago, that was my mission. I had 90 restaurants within a quarter mile of me. And I had some great vegan meals there. But after 9 years of doing that, I thought about the friends, the neighbors that came and joined us. And I couldn't remember one that ever ordered the vegan option. We would talk about veganism, why I was vegan, and then you merely dig into their steak and everything. I had to shield my eyes. The first 5 years I was vegan, I wouldn't sit at a table with anybody eating meat. And I kind of gradually relaxed because I was just isolating people and not really progressing the cause. But it dawned on me after all these years that even though the restaurants are having more vegan options, the reason they're doing it is because of me. I'm the token vegan in a group of omnivores, and if they want my group to go to their restaurant, they're going to put one vegan option on there. They're not interested in the ethical reasons for it. It's all economic for them. So I'm bringing, say, a group of 8 people into this restaurant. I'm the only one ordering vegan besides my wife. And they're all merely ordering the real thing, because why should they have the mock thing when they get the real thing? I take it back. There is one time I remember in 7 years that a friend ordered the same thing I ordered because he was interested in the health aspect. And I'm just merely eating away. And I can see he's just like a little discontent. And he's like looking over his wife's plate. And about halfway through the meal, he grabs a piece of chicken off his wife's plate. to be satisfied. And it shows you how strong meat addiction is, that it's like people that smoke. They just, even if they want to quit smoking, it's a hard thing to do. So that was part of the process as well. Now when I go out to eat, I insist, if you want to go out to eat with me, we're eating at one of these 19 locations here. And with the exception of one stubborn omnivore that doesn't like to be told what to do, it's not like he doesn't like the food. All my other friends, everybody that goes with me now, all eats vegan, don't have to worry about animal products, anything. We're all supporting the vegan business. So also on the calendar, I put on some different things, like I have a website that has a section devoted to vegan health, recipes and things like that. I have a blog I'll show you later. So let's say you live in a city that only has one vegan restaurant. Like this young couple I met last night from San Antonio, they have one vegan restaurant. So are they going to be able to do a calendar for one vegan restaurant? Well, they can. They can start promoting it to their friends. Is everybody familiar with meetup.com? Yeah, we have a meetup. Basically, it's a website where anybody with a special interest can form a group, and then an online group, and people can join it for different activities like restaurant nights and things. So we have San Diego Vegans down there, and there's currently 1,300 members in that, which is like, that blew me away when I first went. We had so many people that at least self-identified as vegans. Turns out they're not all as vegan as maybe we are, but they still want to be self-identified as it. So I've held several meetup events at the vegan restaurants, bringing in business, exposing people to it. I have an email list that I send this calendar out. I have about 150 veg friends, I call them, on there now. And I post it on my website. I post it on Facebook pages. When someone says, hey, I'm coming to San Diego, where should I go to eat? I post a link to the calendar. I keep the calendar itself on my phone. You can just open it on your phone, and then it's available wherever you're at, so that you know that you're not going to one. Like our Loving Huts closed. We have 2 Loving Huts, and they close between 2 and 5. So I mean, that's kind of unusual, right? And you show up and think, wait, they're closed. So the calendar basically solves all those problems. Okay. Well, now the other thing is, what if you live in Los Angeles and you want to do this calendar? Well, I did a search on Happy Cow. Within a 25-mile radius of downtown Los Angeles, there's, get this, 110, 100% vegan restaurants. 110. This is the vegan mecca, My wife, we'd love to come up here and just kind of graze from restaurant to restaurant. It would be pretty tough to maintain a calendar of that many. So just use Happy Cow for this, and then call the restaurant just to make sure they're open. But let's say you're traveling. I spent a few weeks down in Patagonia in South America. Now, South America, believe it or not, in Buenos Aires, there were 100% vegan restaurants. In Santiago, there were 3. We read about, a vegan buddy and I were doing this trip and doing a lot of trekking down there. And there was in Valparaiso, they were having a veg fest. So South America, as meat heavy as they are, there's a movement. But down south in Patagonia, forget it. It's like, it's like vegan hell. We're living on iceberg lettuce and French fries, just forget it. But one thing that came in handy is if you're in an area where there's no vegan restaurants, I travel every year. I take like a major foreign trip. So I said, well, how am I going to explain to these non-vegan restaurants what vegan is in their language? There's a program on the computer called Google Translate. Have you heard of that? Where you can basically type in English what you want, and it'll translate it into the foreign language. So I created something called V-cards, which they're in 83 different languages right now. And here's an example. You probably can't see it too well, but there's Afrikaans. And so on the left you have, I am vegan, plant foods only please, and then heck, I'm vegan. Now Google Translate sometimes makes really hilarious errors, and that's a whole another topic. So I rely on native speakers to write and say, you know what, your V-card on this is great, but it's, it doesn't really translate well. It's almost hilarious some of the things it comes out with. So I rely on them to also do that. And then, in addition, as part of my outreach, and I'll finish up with this, I have a blog. Everybody seems to have a blog. just different thoughts. When I send out my calendar in an email, I always include what I'm thinking about certain things, like some topics here like, but that is the vegan options for veganism. I get debate from people about that. So let's get back to unhealthy vegan food. Some of the vegan owners have been accused of having unhealthy food, but the thing is they're competing with full-fat, full-flavor restaurants. So what if they just served bland food and everything, it'd be really hard to stay in business. Because truthfully, most of the people that go to vegan restaurants nowadays are not vegan. Did you know that? It could be 70, 80% are not vegan. But they heard about vegan, and they say, well, instead of Chinese tonight, let's eat vegan. Or they're thinking, well, I'll have a healthy meal tonight. So, vegan purity, judging others, and abolitionism, greatly, heavily influenced by listening to Bob and Gary. Go at it every week on the radio show. I'm a speciesist. I am, unfortunately, but we can talk about that. Changing the narrative. This is something I'd like to see long term. You know that 50 years ago, smoking was cool, the doctors recommended it and everything. Well, in a way, sort of like your double bacon cheeseburger is so cool now. I want to kind of start a grassroots movement through online activism, start introducing the idea that all omnivores, including vegetarians, are animal abusers. Nobody wants to be called an animal abuser, right? So if it starts to get a stigma to it, instead of vegans being crazy, which is still prevalent, but getting better, you want to say, omnivores, you're abusing animals, you're an animal abuser. And then also omnivores is societal lead. So I just want to kind of get a kind of an undercurrent going on there. Should activists avoid the V word? No. 5 stages of veganism was espoused by a talk I heard earlier last year by Will Tuttle, who was here yesterday. And I said I did with that, but the last thing is call to action here. So if you're interested in starting a calendar for your region, you start with happycow.net and see what they have listed. You visit the vendor websites, the Facebook pages, you contact them if you see the hours aren't matching, give them a call or email. What I found is a lot of these vegan eatery owners are so consumed with day-to-day operations that they probably didn't come from a restaurant background. You know how competitive restaurants are anyway. Sometimes marketing and maintaining their web pages takes second fiddle. So if you can help them do that, they know this calendar is here, they can send you updates, you can query them each time you send out an update to find out what it is. That'll really help them as well. And if you are interested in doing your own calendar, my email is mike.weinberg@cox.net, or you can visit my website, maxlearning.net, and click on the health topic. I don't know if I have any time. Bob, am I done? Any questions, comments? Yes? Do vegan options promote veganism? Only if omnivores buy them. Then you have to go with that. Yeah, promote the best vegan restaurant in your area that you can. Encourage them to get more and more vegan. Maybe invite some other, call Native Foods. We've had 3 open in the last 2 years. Call Native and say, hey, we got a vegan community here. Come open here. Reach out to them and try to get more vegan. But you have to go with what you have. Oh, I'm sorry. She said, do vegan options promote veganism? That was the original question. And then she lives in a town that doesn't have any vegan restaurants, which is unfortunate. So you promote what you can. You hold meetup events there or just group events. Show that there's enough vegans out there that want to have a vegan business there. Yeah, it's an imperfect world, right? We've got to do what we can. Okay. One more question?
What about the omnivore restaurants and options and not enough people getting it? Might they no longer? I mean, is it like a?
So the question is, if the vegans are only going to vegan restaurants, who's ordering the vegan option in the omnivore restaurant? Well, if you're spending $1, if you're a vegan, you're spending $1 to help this omnivore restaurant become more vegan, while the vegan business ethically is limiting its clientele, and they go out of business, it seems to me the trade-off is not worth it. Vegan options in those restaurants are good if omnivores order them, but if vegans order them, we're basically diverting our dollars away from who we should be supporting. That's my opinion. I'm not sure everybody, I know everybody doesn't agree with that. That's part of the debate. Part of the sales job I have, I'm finding that the vegans in San Diego that have kind of countered this push that I'm having are starting to come around and say, well, I mostly eat 100% vegan. I only once a while. And the meetups I see are not being held so much at the vegetarian restaurants anymore, they're being held at the vegan. So it's evolution, you know, it's moving in the right direction. We have differences of opinion. My idea is that we should support those brave vegan restaurateurs and other businesses that are out there are doing it for ethical reasons, not just to attract dollars for their omnivorous restaurant. So, thank you.